Apoorva, I like very like I think during that COVID time, I think around 2021, we started with bringing in these stories from the community itself and from children, caregivers, people living with type 1 diabetes or their relatives and all. So this we started like Champu was the name. So that might sound funny, but how this Champu transformed into Champ U is the whole journey, what this whole comic strip would take you through. So the people who contributed, and the content of different stories coming in, but we are bringing them all together at one single place so that it becomes an educational material. So this is the Champu's story. He introduces his family and everyone in the family. There's an activity also. So Champu's favorite hobby is to tease his sister. So what now Champu is asking, like, the one who has that booklet, or maybe online is there. So what is your story, or what is your favorite time pass and all that stuff? Just bringing in like some fun factor and all that. So Champu also explains like how his sister helps him in managing his medical condition. Then he also cites about like when he was in school and his friends find out that he used to go out just before the interval, and his friends followed him during that time, like just once, and then they saw that Champu was taking insulin injection, and then in the interval they asked that why were you taking injection, are you sick or what? So that time he discloses that he has type 1 diabetes, which is also called sugar. So this is how, like, the conversation starts and all, and then he recalls that he met a doctor with his family, and they told him that, and this on the left that you see is the fact around what exactly happens when you take food and how insulin works and all that stuff. And at the end, like, there are myth busters also in the story. So when will you stop taking insulin? Just like we cannot stop eating, I cannot stop my insulin. And friend also motivates him that my friend, you are super brave. But this is just one story, and it takes a lot of effort to design the graphics, to collect the story, to write it in the form of a comic and all this stuff. We thought, when we have so many stories, such brilliant, amazing experiences, or some really bad experiences that people might want to share due to the stigma that they have faced, and you too can relate to it, how can we make it more impactful? How can we make it less effort being given to designing all these graphics and all, and including facts in the story? Whatever be the story, let's include facts in it. So at the bottom, if you see, is it visible, like my cursor? Yeah.
Source, right?
So yeah, so it also says the source from where this whole thing has been taken, this fact has been taken. So now comes the idea when we pivoted it, and after several kind of changes to the whole idea, we came up with this idea. I'm sorry, just is it visible?
Yeah.
I'll make it full screen. Yeah. Yeah. So we thought, Apoorva, that why not have multiple stories at one time and use the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning? and maybe create millions of stories like this and embed facts around it, whatever be the context of the story. But to reach over there, it is going to take time. We have to create repository, we have to have database of people living with diabetes and other chronic medical conditions. So we are not just focusing upon type 1 diabetes, but almost all the medical conditions, but gradually, I mean, slowly we'll take up other medical conditions. We'll start with T1D. So now we thought, why not create a platform which we called as Care All. The name also has a meaning because, A mostly, it reflects a single person, but O is something which is inclusive and we can get everyone together at a single platform. And so this platform was developed where we start with registering the patient or a caregiver or a patient advocate initially, and then and then we come up with the fact check platform where a person can check for facts by typing anything, any query that they might have. It could be misinformation, it could be stigma, or it could be a photo that they saw somewhere on internet, or they click it and they post it, or it could be a link, it could be a video, or it could be simply a WhatsApp message. Now when this thing is posted on the platform, immediately this goes to the platform where experts are available, a pool of experts actually.
Yeah.
So over here is the community. This goes to the platform. The platform will have the experts who will vote if the information in the content has correct, incorrect, or incomplete information, or needs more research, because there could be some pointers where we cannot make any decision if it's right or wrong. So there they'll vote. These experts, pool of experts will vote. Also, these pool of experts will be chosen in a way that it is culturally and country wise kind of fit, so that, like, if someone has a misinformation or stigma in African country, an expert, a pool of experts probably from that region would be the one who will be mostly voting for it. And there is going to be a criteria that at least 2 physicians, 2 patient advocates, and at least 1 researcher has to vote for that content. Now, when this content has been reviewed, this goes back to the community and to the patient who asked for it through WhatsApp message and through email, which we asked during the registration time. Now, coming to the search part. So there was one search part as well. If we see over here, so when we search for something, I mean, I don't have to post it, but I just want to see what are the stigmas in my community, and I can filter it according to the medical condition, according to the location, gender, age, culture, and understand that, okay, diabetes and marriage related stigmas are these. So this is why are we doing this? Because we in the beginning showed a story and with the facts. This is because first it will create repository, because over here the experts are not just going to vote, but they are also going to provide explanation in 3 lines max, and the source of that fact, like WHO, ICMR, ADA, whatever. And then the second part is having a huge database, because it is not going to take more than 2 minutes if we have to just upload a photo, or we have to write anything, or we need to share a link to get it verified. This way we get verified content, validated content from the experts, and this comes in the repository backend. Now coming to the next part, where so this is like phase 1, and also we will register ourselves at IFCN, which is International Fact Checking Network, which recognizes the organization to check for facts for anywhere, for Meta, or for Google, Microsoft, or any news channel also. So when we are done with this becomes the food for repository development and for machine learning. So this whole thing then will be automated. I mean, you might ask about a stigma on diabetes and marriage. I will also ask about it, but the second time when I asked it, it will automatically show me the results that have already been generated. And then we come to the storytelling part and the ecosystem development. So over here, we ask, I mean, in the initial times, we will be focusing upon patient and caregiver, but gradually we will bring other stakeholders also to this platform. Now, as a patient, I chose that, okay, I'm a patient, and then this screen comes in where I have the opportunity to do several things. Like I can share or publish my story or experience. I can collaborate to create a story with another person who might be living miles away from my place, or check for misinformation or learn, which is first thing that we will be working upon, and find facilities support near me. So also when we have that repository and database, we will also have the details of where an organization or a patient advocate is located. So that will also help us, like if I am coming to Boston and I don't know, I mean, if I need someone over there, and you are also on this platform, I can immediately get it that, okay, I can connect with you. But of course, you have to make it open, like if you want your details to be shared on the platform. And finally, but very important, raise funds and generate impact report. So how can we raise funds and all? This is going to be very interesting over here. So we will have 2 templates in the beginning, which will be free of cost. But if you want to customize it for your patient advocacy or for your organization, that will be charged. Basically, will come in the subscription model. So this is the platform. Let's say you add your story title over here. You add the keywords of where your story is, the context of the story and what are the keywords for your story. And in fact, the platform will also be able to advise you when you start writing your story. So when you start writing over here, by frame, because this is the comics that we have chosen as a template. So by frame, when you choose it, the platform will automatically recommend you with the avatars, like over here at the bottom, that you are checking blood sugar level, you are feeling low, you have confusion, and all those graphics will be automatically generated. And along with that, you will also be recommended with the facts. Now, there could be multiple facts around diabetes and hypoglycemia, but each fact would not be more than 3 lines. The reason being, when we asked the community, they said, we cannot read all those big articles. We don't have time, and we also, the language and everything, I mean, we cannot relate it and we cannot remember that. But these small facts embedded into the story will actually give them the chance to learn and also share it within the community. So this is how, like, after embedding the fact in the story, it might look like, or the one that we shared earlier, and with the source definitely being mentioned at the bottom of each fact. This part would actually be compulsory, that you have to, if you have to write a story, it has to be data driven. And then you can either collaborate, like for example, if I wrote in Hindi and you want to translate it into English, we can collaborate. And with each story, when it is sent for reviewing to the experts and it has been reviewed, it can be published then as a validated or verified story, in the form of comics, in the form of hard copies, or just online. And this can also be shared on social media platforms and with a badge that it is a verified story. Also, the best part is that the individual who has written that story can raise up to $20 each, per story, so that at least they are able to raise a passive income for their medical expenses. And this fund, $20, will come from crowdfunding, which would mean that even if 20 people donate $1 each for that published and reviewed story, they can get up to, they can at least bear the cost of their medical expenses. Yeah. So this is the basic concept. And with the collaborations, like we had recommended avatars and facts, then we will have also recommendations for the products, for the courses that they can take up. We do not have advocacy course, like a well structured course. Please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel that there has to be a course. People we surveyed, 75%, more than 75% people had less than 10 years of experience in patient advocacy. And we need a structured course that is localized, also culturally also suitable, and can guide them on what is advocacy, what is patient advocacy, what do you mean by it, and the basics, how to raise funds and all that stuff. So this is totally focused upon building an ecosystem for the patient advocates and bringing these philanthropic organizations and these corporates also to be a part of it, but in a very ethical way, so that the main essence of advocacy doesn't fade. Yeah, I'll stop here.
That's amazing. Incredible. So before I say anything, I think I must congratulate you guys, because this is really well done. Like, it's, if you see it from a first person's perspective, like just from a first outlook, it's really very well creatively, the color combination and everything is very, very beautifully put up. So, and I'm sure you guys are covering a lot because it has a lot of levels and layers to it. So it'll be very, like, I must say, it'll be really challenging to implement everything at once in like one strike. But thinking about it and putting it collectively in like one platform is a really good job. So
Yeah.
I must say, commendable work. And yeah, I wish you all the luck if we can ease out this and kind of like pilot it out, how things are going. And I think once it comes out and like you pilot it, it'll be much easier for us to understand which layers are easy to like to overcome and how the transition can happen to the next level. That's what's good, because I know AI has a lot of like potential to do ease out transition, but it's not going to be easy to like navigate the system from like a story to what the product, the outcome of the product is going to look like. Yes, we know that's an image that can come out, but how are the funding? Like, there are levels to it, which I think for me right now, it is a little overwhelming. If I say from a health perspective, because there'll be so much data generated, so much information generated from a healthcare perspective. Yes, it'll require a lot of like intervention there, like from other people and from like organizations to authenticate it. But AI, I know, can do that, of course, and you guys have much more knowledge on it. From the advocacy perspective, I think very well thought. And you rightly said, Mridula, and I think I do almost the similar kind of an awareness work here. So there is no such course on advocacy. Like you learn it the hard way. And like you clearly said, like 75% of people don't even know what they're doing in the advocacy space. It's just like hitting in thin air. And giving a platform to like structure your narrative is a great way to define where things are going. And like, because, you know, like advocacy also has brain out, storytelling also has brain out. This kind of like will succumb that we don't have brain out in that sense. So I think it's a really good thought, and you have great layers to it. Just like putting it all together and making sure how it pilots it out would be my next question, probably. That how can we implement it, make it more easier? Because, you know, like when you're open in the world, there's so many things to it. How do you make sure the person who's using it, be it like let's call them a client, for example, a client using it, be it a patient or a healthcare professional, how are you driving the attention for more than 5 minutes using this platform? Because attention span is a huge challenge. And while navigating in a world of like other apps and other sources, how does a person spend more time in generating? And a lot of people are not very creative in formulating their story or sharing their experiences. So how do they kind of like ease out into this? Because you don't want to be the same group of people who speak on platforms to be the same people using it, because then there's no use.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you think about equity, it won't be representative. Like, like equity will be a huge challenge somewhere, because you will already, like it's a bias. You will already split out people who will not be familiar with like such kind of a platform, because they don't want to share a story. How do you get that level of people to it? That would be one of my thought too. But I think great job. And you guys have done really good work. Like it looks really creative, like the way it's structured. And I'm amazed that you did it all on Canva.
Thank you so much, Apoorva.
Who's the designer behind this?
Me.
Is it or
No. Me.
Me. I mean, it's just designed on Canva. We will definitely need someone who can, you know, help us out in designing it and all. So like you rightly said, Apoorva, I mean, this is a lot to consume in one go. And that's why our first 2 years are totally going to be dedicated on that misinformation stigma fact checker. That's it. We're not going to come to the story part, but just the fact checker, so that we are able to get all of that, what we need, you know, the repository, the database and everything, and gradually transition, you know, okay, this is another feature that you might want to try. And as you mentioned about, you know, reaching out to those who might not be very convinced with the, you know, writing the stories, but they might be the ones who might want to read the stories. So that could be the part also, because we are going to have the resource, like it as an educational material. The published stories can reach out to the communities who will be, you know, might not have even a computer or a mobile smartphone, but they can have that booklet with those stories. And because we will have organizations also over here, NGOs and patient advocates, they will get those stories over here on the platform. The only reason is, I mean, why we thought of embedding stories with the data was because articles, guidelines, and all these things, people don't read it thoroughly. They get bored. I mean, as you said, that attention thing, it's not there. I mean, people get bored with the reels, 60-second reels. They're not going to read such a big article, and if they are not good in English, certainly they won't understand anything. So they rely on these videos and everything. Why not have something that is in their language? And maybe if you're not comfortable online, you can have this textbook which focuses upon these stories, or you can have like a basket of these stories, select it, and you can go through them.
Quick question. Will this be only in English, or are you planning to?
Any language, any language.
Mhm.
So when we are starting with the stigma and fact checker thing, and I said it is going to be like, country wise. So photo can be in any language. And that's where those fact checkers from that region will give the facts also in their own language and translate it into English. But that is something that we have to do on our platform. The language conversion, translation, the experts
It all happen at the back end, right? So one question, sorry, let's go step by step from the
yeah.
first phase.
Yes.
And you can take my advice or just throw
Yes,
it, but
no, please go ahead.
I'm being a devil's advocate from somebody who's worked in the space and would be like using this, for example, this tool. So first level would be like you create a repository, right? We don't have a repository right now,
Yes,
right?
no.
That's the first step. So what's happening at the back end of it?
So we are, I mean, repository is going to be created when patients just, they take out their mobile, post up, upload a photo, and that becomes a directory, like kind of a directory of all the photos, videos, and all that stuff which have been verified through our platform. On the other hand, experts like you are an expert, and you fact check that content that has been posted, and you say yes, this is wrong, and this is actually the right thing, and you also put in a link to what exactly is the source of the information that you are providing, right? So that
My one question would be here. Okay, this is a great step, but one question: why would somebody want to do a fact check? Like, why? What's the incentive that I, as a
yes,
layman,
yes,
would take a photo of something and put it on the platform?
yes.
What would be the incentive for a person?
Yeah, so they will be getting rewards for it. So we have thought of rewards, like if you provide us with
Because
these.
I'm just saying, the reason why I'm saying this
Yes,
is how do you deviate a person from just to searching it on Google and searching it at your platform? That's one thing you need to think, because how are you driving the user towards your platform when there are bigger search
yeah,
engines available? So
yeah,
that's one question I think
yeah,
anybody would think about, like, why
yes,
should I open an Instagram app and why not Care All app, like
yeah,
that, for
yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah.
So
No, I
that's, I
I
think, would be a
totally agree.
biggest, that would be a biggest question. How do you, so yeah, you can get the platform ready and everything, but all you need is a user, and user will have levels of intersection there, right?
No, absolutely, I agree. That's why we want to bring in experts like patient advocates and physicians, and also organizations as experts who can fact check. So when they are doing it, I mean, they are saying that you can, check it over here on this platform, and you also get rewards for that. But yes, we can definitely look into this point. How do we get?
Or think about something else, like there could be something other incentive which they might
Yeah.
get, not just rewards, because sometimes rewards are not something which people would want to look for.
Health benefit or something
Yeah.
like that, like a
Yeah, you can think
teleconsultation.
about it. Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
I just want that would be, or maybe yeah, when you speak to other people who have made apps, probably because I'm not an app developer, so I don't know. But probably there might be some way to deviate, like how you can engage the user from the very beginning.
Yeah.
That could be some level, because that would be probably a question when you present or pitch your work.
Absolutely.
Your judges or whoever's going to be doing they could
Yeah.
be asking you like, why yours and why not that, right?
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
And also we were thinking about once we're developing the app, we're thinking about using like a co-creation approach, like a human-centered design approach in which we involve our users all along the way. It's not like we're thinking about creating the app exactly as Marie's showing. This is just like a rough prototype, but we're thinking about developing and including the user as we go over it. So for example, we get the funds and we start developing, and the users like you, for example, say, okay, I don't think this feature will, then we go back and, you know, it's like an iterative kind of like design. We have the idea, we know this is what we think it has value because we have asked people, and as you're saying, but then when we think about the specifics and everything, we're thinking about using this kind of approach to involve the user in the design, into the design of the app, of the platform. So it's not something like we're coming with this solution for you, but you're participating and creating with us, so we can create something of value that you are going to use.
How
Excellent.
community can own it.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and I that's why I said I really must credit you for this. Is a really well thought way, but I'm just trying to like support you. Like,
No, and definitely, please do it.
Yeah.
With your blunt comments, we need your like.
Yeah, just
Please be blunt.
It's a great thought, and I love the idea of like how we can create like a lot of my work around the like. So I work in the advocacy space here, and we've been building about this whole narrative of like how storytelling can drive like the huge connection of people's collective narratives and build around the story aspect. And human-centered design is a great approach, like you said, co-creating, because ultimately nobody wants to like just get things just served on their platter when they cannot use it themselves. So culturally appropriate, and that's where the equity aspect comes from. So I think it's a great thought, very well done. What I feel is just the layers to ease out would be on you guys to like think about how we can ensure the transition from one phase to another can happen. I would suggest maybe easing it out in phases would make things easier for any person to like, for example, if I'm a judge at a pitching place and somebody comes and represents this thing, I'll be like, oh my God, there's so many levels to it. Is it worth it? Like that will be a question from a devil's advocate. Is it worth it? But how you phase it out, like this will be your phase one, building a repository, then phasing it out to like simultaneously, it's not just one over the other, but simultaneously you're collecting stories through the fact check stuff.
Right.
And then you ultimately, your phase three, when all these phases kind of roll out, would be your piloting it out the whole project. Yeah,
Right.
that's my piece of
Right.
thought.
No, that is actually,
Yeah.
that is brilliant. Yes. Kyuki, I mean, sorry. Yeah.
I get it. It happens with me too.
Me too,
like,
please. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, please,
Right.
English.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, when we are thinking from our side, we think, yeah, this is so easy. I mean, you know, to speak to someone and, you know, showcase, but from the other person's eyes and, you know, their perspective, it might be a big thing, a big chunk of meat. So definitely, I mean, that's a brilliant advice, Apoorva. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help you. If you guys want to pitch this project later, so I am part of the MIT hackathon. Maybe you guys can come here and present.
Yes. Yes.
No,
if,
no, I mean,
if you don't get through DCB, then hackathon in MIT also works with patients, advocates to pitch ideas, and they do like. I'm part of that, but if you guys want, I can just share the details with you. Yeah, whenever.
Please
yeah, that
do.
would be great. And
Definitely.
also,
Yeah.
Apoorva, I mean,
Thanks.
if you can be one of our advisors for this, I mean, startup. I mean, this is not going to be under Diabetes Fighters Trust. We want to sustain it, and getting funds for NGOs becomes a bit, not a bit, but a lot difficult. So it's going to be like a startup that can support itself, sustain itself, and also sustain the not-for-profit activities that we do in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll think about it. But I really must congratulate you first because it's a women-led startup. So I think we're going to go really high. Congratulations on that.
Thank you,
you
Apoorva.
so much.
Because if you think about it, it's still a very male-dominated space, like the startup space, and it's not easy to get in, and they don't let you get in, and it's disastrous. Yeah. So
Yeah.
guys are doing, you're being the one driving the seat, so don't let anybody break that for you. Keep going.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Apoorva. It has been really helpful.
Happy to help you with the advice, like if I can help you with anything. But this is a great, well thought. My piece of advice would be just break it down into small chunks so that for a person who does, so you and I and Loz knows about diabetes really well, right? So we don't have to think twice what levels of transition are. But when it's for somebody who's like new to the space, for them it'll be like, oh wow, like there's so many levels to it. So I would just say break them down to easy digestible chunks for any person to like use it, because what you're doing is co-creating, right? Co-creating has to go in baby steps. It's a long process, but it's doable. So that's what you're trying to like, the reason why somebody would be so invested in you is because it's, even if it's complex, even if it's like so many layers to it, it's still doable. So I think that's what your piece of advice from me should be, that yeah, it's great, you can really do it, but how we break it out into chunks and phases. And then if there's nothing available right now, like no repository, you're somebody who's building a repository first time, which also helps physicians to just take out resources from there for their presentations. So it's also an educational tool, like you clearly said.
Yes, in fact, research also, Apoorva, I think there isn't any like a repository which we can, see for misinformation and stigma around, okay, these are the things that are culturally, more prevalent in this particular region and that, and, kind of giving us a map that can, tell us, okay, this is how it is over here and, in this place. And yeah. Also,
yeah, we want the platform to also be used for research purposes. So because we're gonna be collecting a lot of data, and that people might be interested in looking to from a research perspective,
Yes.
So but yeah, definitely we have been thinking about it, like how do we make this simpler, like more simple, like how do we put it into different phases, how do we, so it doesn't feel like overwhelmed and we're too close to the idea. So we want to talk about it and we want to do everything, we want to change the world, but then we have to start by taking baby steps, as you said. So this has been really useful. Yeah,
that's great, and you're doing a fabulous job. Like I think this is a really, really well thought piece. Yeah, and good luck for that. And I'll fully support you for this whole initiative.
Thank you so much.
And please share the information for the MIT hackathon.
I will share it with Mridula. I think it's not right now, but it happens in May. So next year when it happens, I'll share it as soon as I get it. Yeah.
Thank
Sure.
you.
And there's a lot,
Perfect.
there are a lot of like Latino representation from Colombia, Venezuela, and it's a lot. And I'm like, why? Everybody, and they usually, and they're the ones who usually get it. Like that's amazing. Like you guys have
Wow.
some incredible startup stuff happening in Latin America.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And also, I think that for us, we see it like an advantage to be collaborating, like me from India, me from Colombia. Like, I think that's an advantage to have this kind of like international thing that we can work
Yeah.
upon. And so, yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, we're doing this. Either we get in the DCB top 3 and then finalists, or
Yeah, you will. Just be helpful,
but
you
we're
guys.
doing it.
Yeah, and
Are you
also think about it, Apoorva, if you can be our advisor in this. We really need that background of yours.
I
Yeah,
would love to help, but right now, like I'm so busy, but I would
No,
definitely
no,
consider it as
yeah.
things ease out.
Yeah.
I will love to help you guys. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
It's
And
been
thanks
great
for the
meeting you.
reminder, Mridula. Like, otherwise I would have just been sleeping all day.